When our lives are in harmony at work, home, and in our inner being, the world seems to work like clockwork. Tick-tock, tick-tock, and then suddenly something throws it off kilter. Tock-tick. And in the case of the recent pandemic, the clock can stop altogether. In that moment of adversity, we have to reassess our situation, our environment, our practices, both at work and in our personal lives, in order to seek a new way forward out of these unexpected circumstances. The initial dread and fear leads to an adrenaline rush, a sharpening of thought, a focus, and a heightening of awareness. A bit like when the car you're in is hit by another, and as it turns, everything seems to go into slow motion. But in your brain, the thoughts that are rushing, survival, more thoughts than you thought possible in such a short space of time. Adversity means the terror is no longer firmer. Everything just shifted. We find ourselves in unknown territory, and after the initial clenching of the cheeks, we wake up, heighten our thoughts, and work to find a way through. The recent pandemic has taught us that routine can be disrupted at a moment's notice and for considerable lengths of time. It can lead to unemployment, even for those who have worked a lifetime in a particular industry. The travel, entertainment and hospitality sectors were particularly bad hit. There were mass redundancies. However, the people in these industries are some of the most resilient and creative of our society. I know workers who were in the theatre. One went off and made a pop-up coffee stall in a market. Another did a similar thing, but with cheese toasties. These have really blossomed, and they both now have leases on permanent properties, and they have bona fide and sustainable new employment. But better than that, their own companies. Some went back into medicine and law and even charity management. Everyone has to find a way. Change causes us to look around and take stock. Back in 1959, Senator John F. Kennedy, later to be President JFK, he said that the Chinese word for crisis was made up of two pictograms. One for the word danger, and the second for the word opportunity. This was in fact a bit of a mistranslation, but I think through history we've sort of endorsed that view that when one door closes, another one opens. A prime example of opportunity in adversity emerged during the carnage of the Second World War. Now, wars are never good. However, good things can come out of them. Because of the accelerated engineering and medical efforts during that conflict, how much longer would it have taken mankind to come up with the atomic energy, with jet engines? How long would it have taken them to put a man on the moon? And look at all the medical advances. These are really positive innovations for humanity. Even the adversity of confinement in prison can be turned to one's favour. I mean, some of the world's greatest leaders have found themselves at some stage of their lives imprisoned. Now, they've used this situation to stiffen their resolve and to plan for the future, rallying support for the cause, and also to build their mental fortitude, but also their resilience. And with positivity, they don't waver. We can all have these qualities. What we have to do is, when it hits the fan, not to run around like headless chickens, but to accept the situation, accept the challenge, set goals and resolve to strive for them. Persistence, persistence, persistence. Never say die. Adversity brings with it the need to strive for a future. Without it, we can become more collectively creative. Even more important, as an individual, we have to harness our positivity. We have to also hold on to humour, because with positivity and humour, these will be our life rafts that will get us through the rough waters. Amazing, life-changing things can happen. The fact that I'm standing here now, delivering this chat to you, is one example. I was a company and stage manager at a world-renowned theatre for 30 years. The pandemic stripped me of that. I worked with some of the greats, some of the best playwrights in the English-speaking world, some of the greatest actors, and then suddenly I had a comfortable life, but it was snuffed out. But I did go through it, and I know some of the people watching this will have been far worse than I. But I did suffer mentally. I went into a decline. I went into depression. But I then began to grasp and view my situation. And I thought, if I wallow in this, I'm finished. So with those rules that I said earlier, those tools, I gradually chiseled my way out of the black tunnel I'd found myself in, and came out. And suddenly the phone rang and they said, "Hi, we want to open the theatres again. Would you go and do it round Britain?" Small theatres, getting the whole thing going again. And the joy it was to get back out, break out of that dark prison and go and work again. I cannot tell you. Now, I just want to give this message. If you find yourself sinking, the only way you can get out of it is by acceptance and then finding a way out. Push back, and up, and up. And in the words of the poet whose play we took round, T.S. Eliot, this is not farewell, but fair forward.